Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If we've never met before, my name is Adam Smith. I'm the Director of Student Communities here at Community Church of Columbus. And if you are tuning in, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome. We wish that we could be meeting in person, but unfortunately, because of everything that's going on right now, we kind of can't, which is really unfortunate. But this is awesome that we are still able to stay connected both to God and to others in a time like this. And so if you are checking things out for the first time tonight, maybe a friend shared this with you or you just happen to stumble across it, I just want to say welcome. We want to let you know that we love you, God loves you, and we are so excited for our video message that we have tonight. And so before we get started, I actually want to start off by playing a little bit of a game. This is a game that we played early on during the school year, and it has been by far a student favorite. It's a game we like to call Epic or Fail. What's going to happen is we are going to show you a video. The video is going to stop and you have to guess if it's going to be something epic and something awesome, or if it's going to be a bit of a fail and a flop. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's check it out. Let's play Epic or Fail. Thanks so much for playing an awesome game that we personally love, Epic or Fail. I don't know about you, but I love watching people do some awesome, incredible things. But at the same time, I enjoy watching some people epically fail. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to transition now to one of our highlight challenges that we're going to be talking about for the next couple of Sundays. We here at the church, at Community Church of Columbus, we are about to start a 40-day challenge. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but we are calling it the Red Letter Challenge. I don't know if you've ever been scrolling through the New Testament, and you'll notice that there are red letters in there sometime, or red words. And you may be wondering what that means, but essentially, if you see red words in the Bible, those are the words of Jesus. He is the person that we just celebrated last Sunday, celebrating Resurrection Sunday, celebrating Easter Sunday. We celebrate it because God himself, Jesus, lived a perfect life, died the death that we were supposed to die, and then raised again, defeating sin, hell, and death. And we want to celebrate that and remember that, not just on Easter Sunday, but every single Sunday and every single day moving into the week. And so that's why we want to challenge you with the Red Letter Challenge. It is something that everyone here at CCC is going through. Maybe you have one of these, maybe you don't. If you don't have one of these books, don't worry, no need to stress at all. But this is the book that we are going through, and what it is, it's a 40-day challenge, and we're going to be focusing on 5 key principles. Essentially, what we're looking to accomplish in the Red Letter Challenge is to live our lives more like Jesus. And so to do that, what we want to do is we want to use this book and go through it every single day. There is a small devotion and a challenge to implement every single day. So if you're getting a little stir crazy at your house and you're looking for something to kind of, give you a little bit of a challenge, give you something to do during the day, this is it for you. What we're going to do as the student community is we're going to be navigating this together. And so if you aren't already, I encourage you to follow us on our Instagram account. You can find us at CCC Student Community. Go ahead and give us a follow, and every single day we are going to be posting the challenge for that day. And we'll be starting this Tuesday. So go ahead and give us a follow. This first week is an introduction week into the 5 principles that we'll be talking about over the next 40 days. And I want to go ahead and talk about those 5 key principles just real briefly. The first week, we're going to be talking about being with Jesus. See, a lot of times it's really easy to jump to, I need to go and do something for Jesus. But we're not saved and we don't follow Jesus just simply by doing. But we first need to be with Jesus, because who we are, our essence, our being, will naturally lead to us doing. Jesus says, come and follow me. That's an invitation to be with Jesus. And so the first principle is being. The second one is forgiving. And I took notes on my phone because I was reading through the book, and I just love how it talks about forgiveness. It says we need forgiveness, but we also are invited to extend forgiveness. The reason why we forgive is because we have been forgiven by God through Jesus Christ. You see, he died the death that we were supposed to die because we commit sin. Sin grieves and pains the heart of God. But through Jesus Christ, he has forgiven us, and we now can extend forgiveness to other people. The third principle that this book and this challenge is encouraging us with is that of service. And I don't know about you, but when you think about serving, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm not quick to jump in and be like, yeah, I'm ready to serve. Because sometimes serving is hard work. But the book talks about how our gratitude for Jesus and what he's done in and through us leads to a life of servanthood. It leads a life of service. We'll talk about that in week 3. In week 4, we'll talk about giving. Following Jesus makes us generous people. We like to call it kingdom currency. When you know how much you are loved and how much you've been forgiven and how much God has done for you, it leads a life of generosity. We are so grateful for all that God has done for us that we want to extend what God has done to other people. And in week 5, the 5th principle, we're going to talk about going. We're going to talk about when we start to follow Jesus, we begin a wonderful adventure. You see, the life of a Christian is not that of a title. We don't just say we believe in Jesus or we claim to be a Christian and leave it at that. When we follow Jesus, we begin a lifelong, wonderful adventure. And you never know the places you'll go and the person you'll become as a result of following Jesus. And when I think about following Jesus, I have the wonderful honor and privilege of being able to work with students who are in fact following Jesus. Last year, we had a student graduate. Her name is Amanda Wisman. And tonight, she is going to share a little bit about what it looks like to follow Jesus when you graduate from high school and you start to go into college. Over the next couple Sundays, we are going to be having a college spotlight. We want to hear from some of the graduated seniors what it looks like to actually go and follow Jesus once you graduate from high school and move on to the next phase of life. So go ahead and tune in. This is Amanda Wisman.
Hey guys, my name is Amanda Wisman. I am 18 years old and I graduated from Columbus North in 2019. Go Bulldogs! And I'm currently a freshman at Indiana University, Zoomington, because everything's on Zoom. And today I'm here to kind of share some of my wisdom that I've learned in college. It actually has been a super transformative time for me. And I was hoping that it would when I went into college. But I did not learn things the easy way. So let's get into it. First semester in college, the biggest thing that I learned was that I should have had my priorities more in order when I went to college. And I thought that I did. Like, I went in knowing that Jesus was first and that I was going to be a good girl and that that my life was his. But as soon as you graduate, there's just so much freedom and so many things you can dedicate your time to, whether you're going to college or into the workforce or whatever it is. You just have so much more that you can choose to spend your time on, because you're not going to school from 8 to 3:30. Your schedule is your own, basically. And so I just fully took advantage of that at first. And I was doing all of the things. I went to all of the football and basketball games. I joined intramural frisbee. I never turned down any offers to spend time with my friends. I just really tried to do it all, and that was not successful. Even though I was doing things that were fun and that I thought would make me happy, they really took away from my time that I had devoted to Jesus. I was no longer getting in the Word or praying as often, and that made me kind of fall flat. I felt so empty, and I realized that Jesus really needed to be first, because these things that I thought would be fun were no longer fun, because he wasn't a part of my life. And so that was the first thing I learned. And then so building off of that, when I tried to turn that around and get more into the Word and stuff like that, I kind of had to hit another stumbling block, because I thought that if I just spent a half hour in the morning in my Bible, that would be enough, and that I could just go on about the rest of my day and try to be productive and get stuff done. But the thing that I learned was that in order to have a close relationship with God, he can't just be the first 30 minutes of your morning. He has to infiltrate every part of your life. And that was something that I was ignoring, because I was oh, Jesus can stay within the first hour of my day, and then after that, the rest is my own. But actually, our lives are not our own. We were made for a purpose, and we are not going to get to be a part of God's purpose for us if we're not letting him into every part of our day and just acknowledging him in everything that we do, whether that's schoolwork or working out or hanging out with friends. God really needs to be a part of all of it in order to use you for his mission that he has planned out for you. And so those were the things that I learned in college, and I hope you guys can understand that and try to use that to help you. I know the biggest life lessons and the most impactful ones are the ones we learn through experience. But I'm hoping that you can just be aware of the fact that Jesus needs to be your number one priority, and that you can't contain him to a certain part of your day. That if you want a real relationship with him, he is going to need to take over your life and carry you basically 24/7. I miss you guys. I hope you're having a great time. That sounds so silly. I hope you're having a great time in quarantine. But hopefully when we can go back out in public, I'll come visit you because I miss you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
This week, we are starting a brand new collection of talks, and we are calling it Asking for a Friend. You see, the challenge that we want to extend to all of you watching is, in fact, the 40-day Red Letter Challenge. Again, we talked about it just a little bit earlier, but we are encouraging you to live out the red letters, the words of Jesus, and the challenges that the book offers us each day of the 40 days. But as I was starting to process and think through some of the challenges, there may be questions that come up. I know for me, as I have been living out my faith, as I've been following Jesus, I've been asked a lot of questions, both from believers and non-believers. I've been asked by complete strangers, by friends, and even family members. And so as a supplement to the 40-day challenge that we're extending to you, the Red Letter Challenge, we want to take each Sunday and focus in on one question that you may be asking yourself, or maybe you have been asked before. And the first question we want to ask is this: why do we need Jesus? I mean, if we're going to start a 40-day challenge focusing on Jesus' life and the words that he said, why do we need Jesus? What's the point of Jesus? You may be asking yourself that, or you may have, in fact, been asked that. And if you know someone who is asking that question right now, who is Jesus? Why do I need to follow Jesus? I encourage you, if you find this video helpful, to share it with them, because we want to help answer that question tonight. So in the beginning is where it all starts. God himself is in existence, and he begins to create all these wonderful things. He creates light. He creates the world. He creates all the fish in the sea, and he creates us, human beings. In fact, he created both Adam and Eve, the first two human beings on earth. And you see, he designed humans for relationships. He designed us to be able to relate to one another, but also to relate to him. We were designed for relationships. And God ultimately is love, and he wants to extend the offer of love to us. But in order to love God, we have to be faced with a choice. You see, God didn't create us as robots and program us automatically to love him. In order for love to truly be love, there has to be the option of love. And so what he does in the Garden of Eden is he presents an option. He presents a choice for Adam and Eve. They say, guess what? You have this whole entire garden. You can partake of any tree except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. That is the only tree you are forbidden to eat from. You may eat of any other tree. In fact, if you read the Genesis account, you may even eat from the tree of life. But as the story goes, Adam and Eve fell into sin. Sin is essentially separation from God. It is choosing something else over God. That is the choice that God gave us, to choose to rely and trust in him, or to take matters into our own hands and to choose for ourselves what we think is right and what we think is good. And that's when sin enters the picture, and sin separates us from God himself. You see, God is holy and just, but he still desires right relationship with his creation, with his human beings. And so the story of human life and the story of the Bible starts to unfold. And the question we have to ask this: what is God going to do? What is God going to do now? He created this perfect world, but now sin is a reality. And there's this separation between God and man. What is God going to do now? And so when you read through the Bible, that is the question that you have to ask yourself. What is God going to do to restore earth and to restore right relationship between God and human beings? And we see the answer fulfilled in the beginning of the New Testament. And Jesus himself, God himself, coming down in human form. He lived a perfect life. And then he was arrested and crucified on a Roman torture device. He was crucified on the cross. He was perfect, but yet he died a sinner's death. And the reason he had to die was so that we might be forgiven. But you see, our faith and our preaching in church is completely useless if Jesus was in fact still dead. Because if Jesus was still dead, what's the point of all this? The reason why we celebrate, like we did last Sunday, is because Jesus, God himself, was not consumed by sin and death, but rather he conquered sin and conquered death and conquered hell by rising again on the third day. He ascended into heaven where he dwells today, and he has given us his Spirit, the Holy Spirit, that can change and transform our life. And so, if you're a Christian, if you are a follower of Jesus or not, I encourage you to analyze and to think about, to meditate and to ponder the question, why do we need Jesus? It doesn't matter if you're trying to live a good life or not. One of the things I hear most is, why is God trying to punish us? I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying to be good. But you see, we all have sinned. We all have fallen short of God's glorious standard. But God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son, so that whoever believes in him may no longer perish, but experience abundant life. And we could inherit eternal life. I hope that you stick with us and continue to listen to what God is doing here in the student community. Tune in every Sunday night at 6 p.m. And we are so excited to continue the Red Letter Challenge and our Asking a Friend collection of talks. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight, and I hope you guys have an awesome week.